Welcome to POMCLOSET, guys. Today is a very special video which I'm going to do the collaboration with Jane, which is the Beautiful Crochet Stuff. So she has many designs which very lovely, interesting, so you can check this out. And here is the Instagram of Jane. It's also the Beautiful Crochet Stuff by Jane Green. Once you get any of the tops done by following my video tutorial or by Jane's tutorial, so please feel free to tag us. We would love to see the works, so me and Jane will post your works, so you can tag Jane and you can tag me. So POMCLOSET on the Instagram account. Let's get started with the projects. Here is the design that I want to achieve. So I want to make the one side shoulder top with the ribbing here at the bottom of the top, and here I'm going to be using the popcorn stitch as well as using the ribbing on the bottom part of the sleeve. So it's a rough idea that I want to try to achieve by using these colors. So the colors I'm using, they are all from Hobbies. These are the Mayflower one in the pistachio color. So it's number 1438. Here's 170 meter for 50 grams, 100% cotton yarn. And I'm gonna be using these. This is all from Hobby, the Cotton King, and it's also 100% cotton yarn 4-ply. The color is 10, so I'm gonna be mixing between these two. And the two you will need the crochet hook, which I'm gonna be using the 4mm crochet hook. But for this kind of yarn, the 4-ply one here, you can use like 2.5 until 4, whichever suits the yarns best. You will also need a pair of cutter, the yarn needle, some stitch markers, the tape measure. I'm going to use the calculator, a pencil, the rubber, as well as a note paper, which you might need to note everything down. So to begin with, I will leave it in around 6-7 centimeters for sewing later, and then you need to do the slip knot, and then change up to, for size small, I will change up to 71, for size M 75, L 80, XL 85. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. So here's my 71 chains, and the length should be, for size small, should be 15 inches, M 16 inches, L 17 inches, XL 18 inches. So because my gauge 4.7 double crochet stitches is 1 inch, 2.5 double crochet rows is 1 inch. So the length I have now for size small is around 15 inches. Now for row 1 we need to chain 3 double crochets on the 4th stitch from the hook, and the rest of the chains you need to do the double crochets until the last stitch to complete row 1. So the number of the stitches, you should have 72 for S, including the 3 chains at the beginning. For M you should have 76, for L you should have 81, and XL you should have 86. For row 2, chain 3, then turn the work, the 2nd stitch, double crochet, and do the double crochet all the way down to the last stitch to complete row 2. And for size small you will need to do this for 12 rows, so just a plain double crochet. For size M you need to go for 15 rows, L 18 rows, XL 21 rows. So once you get the last stitch of this row, you need to return the work, chain 3, and repeat row 2 for the numbers of the rows I have given. So I will meet you after row 12 if you're making size S. And here is my end of row 12 for size small. For size M you should end up with row 15 here, L for row 18, XL row 21 on this last row, and then we need to reduce one side because we're making one side shoulder top. So I will start from where I have the yarn here. I should turn the work, change 3, and then we need to do 3 DC together. So we will need to do first DC, second DC, third DC. So you will have 4 loops on the crochet hook, and then pull the yarn through 3 of them. So you have 2 loops here on the crochet hook, and then pull the yarn through. So you will have 3 DC together. The rest you can do the normal double crochet. So we need to mark the last 5 stitches, so we don't need to do anything. So I will grab the stitch markers. I will count in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here is the 5th stitch, so I need to leave these, and then we will crochet, do the double crochet until here for size S. For size M you can do 6, so you leave 6 and you will do the last stitch should be the 7. For size L you should count in 7 and the last stitch should be on the 8. For size XL you should count in 8. So for size small here I count in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My last stitch of the double crochet should be on the 6th. So I will continue doing the double crochet until I reach my stitch markers. So I have reached my stitch markers, and I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches left. For size S, for size M you should have 6 stitches left. For L you should have 7 stitches left. For XL you should have 8 stitches left on this side. And for the next row, that would be my row 14. So you need to chain 3, turn the work, and do the double crochets on the next stitch, and the rest you will do the double crochet until you reach the last 4 stitches. Here's my last 4 stitches on the side where I have reduced the one side shoulder. So I will also put the stitch markers on this side. So I will put the stitch markers on here. It's the first row of when we're reducing the size, and the last stitches. So I will do the 3 double crochets together. So 1, 2, 3 double crochet, and the last stitch double crochet. So here how you reduce one side shoulder. So I have 12 row, 13, 14. On my 15 I will need to repeat row 13, and row 16 I will need to repeat row 14. So I will keep swapping between these 2 rows. So for my size small I will need to keep going for, I've done 1, 2, and I need to do 10 more rows. I change 3 and repeat row 13. So keep repeating this for the amount of the numbers that I have given. For size S you should end up at row 24. For size M you should end up at row 28. For size L you should end up at row 32, and XL you should end up at row 36. Alright, here is my end of row 24 for size S. Size M should be end of row 28, size L should be end of row 32, size XL should be end of row 36 on this one here, because you have been reducing only one side. Here would be our chest part, and here would be our armhole part. So I will continue from where I have the yarn left. So for my size S, I will need to continue. Here would be my row 25. So on this row and the next 11 rows we will need to do change 3, turn the work, and then we will do 4 double crochet together. which means here 1 double crochet, 2, 3 and 4. This is for all sizes. So now you have 5 loops on the crochet hook. You will need to pull 4 loops through, and then you have 2 loops on the crochet hook, and then pull all through, so you will have 4 double crochets together. The rest you will need to do double crochet until the last stitch. At the end of row 25 for size S, here would be end of row 29 for size M, and end of row 33 for size L, and end of row 37 for size XL. After you've done this row, you will need to change 3, turn the work, next stitches, do the double crochets, because we don't need to do any more reducing on this side. I have now last 5 stitches left, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So I do 4 double crochets together, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you have 5 loops on the crochet hook. Pull the crochet hook through 4 of them. Then you have 2 loops on the crochet hook, pull them all through. The last stitch is double crochet. So that would be my row 26 completed. For size S, I would need 11 rows of these for all sizes, S, M, L, XL. So you will need to do extra 11 rows of these 4 double crochets together. So I have completed 2. I will need to do 9 more rows of these, and for other sizes you will have to do the same. So I will meet you after I'm done 11 rows of these. Alright, I have completed 11 rows of the 4 double crochets together. So at the end I will end up having like 12 rows of this part, and the 3 double crochets together for 12 rows, and the 4 double crochets together for 11 rows to complete this part. So the total of the rows should be around 35 rows, and I have ended up with 10 stitches left. For size M you should have the total of 39 rows, for L 43 rows, for XL 47 rows in total. At the end of the row for size M you should end up having 11 stitches left, and size L 13 stitches left, XL 15 stitches left to complete this piece. Chain 1 to close this row. I will leave it the yarn like this for now. So now I have decided to go for the ribbing. So for the ribbing I will need to turn the work to the bottom part of the top. So I will use these multi-color yarns from Hobby, the Cotton King 4-ply cotton yarn number 10. So I will use these to do the ribbing. By doing this we will need to reconnect the yarn from the bottom end. I'll always leave the yarn for sewing. And then I will chain up to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 chains. After you've done 9 chains, you will need to do 2 more chains, and then do half double crochet on the 3rd chain from the hook. So half double crochet all the way down to the 1st stitch. So you should end up having 10 half double crochet, including the 2 chains at the beginning of the row. Like this. And then you will need to skip 1 stitch, go to the next one, and then slip stitch. And go to the next stitch, slip stitch. and turn the work. Now you will need to do the half double crochet on the third chain. So can you see, here's the first, second and the third chain. Do half double crochet on the third chain, back loop only. So on the ribbing part I will use only half double crochet. The rest you should do half double crochets as well. To the last stitch, and you will have 10 half double crochets in total of each row. That's my last stitch. So make sure you count on each row. I will count where we first start. So that would be my first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 half double crochets. Change 2, turn the work, and then you will need to repeat row 1 by going to the third chain from the hook and do half double crochets. The rest you will need to do half double crochet, back loop only. And make sure you have 10 half double crochet of each row, including the 2 chains from the beginning of the row. So I will do this one more time so you can see. Half double crochets. Here would be my last stitch of the row, quite tricky. And then you need to skip one, go to the next one. Always skip one on this part. Go to the next one, slip stitch and slip one more stitch, then turn the work. Then do half double crochet on the third chain from the hook, back loop only. Repeat half double crochet for the rest of the row. So keep repeating this until you reach the end of the row. Alright, I have done the ribbing on the bottom part of the top. After you complete this top, the ribbing's done, the top is done, so you have to do another piece exactly the same as this one. Here's my other piece, so you can see very identical. The ribbing's also done. So we need to now do the connecting of this top. So I will start from where I still have the yarn left, which is the top part of, this is the shoulder part. So I have all my stitch markers at the last stitch. On this one I should have put the stitch markers as well, but I'll use the same one as this. On the last stitch, which is here. So the two pieces are very identical. So how to connect, I will put these two together. So you will put the ribbing to the ribbing, the side, and the top part here. So I will put the stitch markers on the last stitch as well. And on this part here, I'm just gonna pull the yarn through. On the last stitch, chain one. As I'm right-handed, so I will have to turn these two pieces and position them like this. And then I should go for back loop to back loops of these stitches. But if it's too thin, because I don't want the seams to be too thick, and then you can just pull the yarn through like this. So back loop to the back loop and pull the yarn through. Back loop, pull the yarn through like this until you get to the last stitch. Here's the last stitch, back loops, and then pull the yarn through. I will chain one. I will reconnecting the yarn on the side. Here is the armhole side. Reconnecting the yarn. I will go for like 2 single crochet in each of these rows, and I know the seam's gonna be a bit thick, but this it's okay. So 2 single crochet on each of these rows. On the ribbon part here I have changed to the new yarn color, so you can go like back loop to back loop and single crochet, back loop to back loop, single crochet, or you can even go for a slip stitch. But as I have started with the single crochet on this part, so I might as well just go for single crochet, back loop to back loop, and then single crochet. Alright, it's my last stitch, and then I cut off yarns for sewing later. So this side is completed, the shoulder part's also completed. On the side here where we're reducing the bust part here, I have to leave it like this because I want to leave this part here open, and I will use the strings on this part here. I will go for the plain color. So I will use 2 strands of yarn. Also change the number of the crochet hook to the one size bigger than the one I used for 1 strand of yarn. Basically just change. We will be using the strings for this part by do the crisscross one. Alright, here's my strings for the length of 1.5 meters. So I will need to use this on this part here. So by doing the zigzag crisscross, and before we're doing that, I think I need to do something with this part here, which is the chest part. So I have the yarn left here, I might just cut it off. And reconnecting on the right side of the top. So here's my, I'll turn this top to the right side. So I've put the stitch markers on where we have started to reducing this chest part here. I will then reconnecting the yarn on this part. We have the stitch markers, and I'm just gonna go for like 2 single crochet in each of these rows, just to make this part looks a lot cleaner. You can actually start from this part. For me, I will leave it like this, and I'm gonna keep going with the 2 single crochet in each of these rows. You can do the fan stitches, or you can do other stitches, other edging. But for me, this one, it's kind of easy, and it would look not too bad. So I will keep going with these 2 single crochet until I get to the other side, the other piece, and then I cut off the yarn, and then you can sew all the ends in. We will get back to do the strings and do the crisscross on this part here. The last stitch, and then I will chain 1, cut off the yarn. So let's see what the top looks like so far. So this is entirely up to you which size you want it to be. So I think I will go for, maybe I'll go for this side here. Or this size, you can do both. So now we need to do the side part here, which we will need to, firstly I think I will need to sew all this in. I have sewn all the ends in on this part here. We will need to insert the strings through this part here. So I will start from, I want this end to be on this part, so I will have to start from here. I'll turn my top like this. You can also use the crochet hook to help. So here is my, where I have the last row of the side, on this side as well. So that would be my half, and then just do the crisscross. Very easy part on this one. So you can decide which rows you want to go to, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just gonna go on the 4th, leave 3 rows and then go on the 4th row as well as on this side. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4th. This one here, 1, 2, 3, 4. The other side should do the same. And then crisscross back. I will do the first row where we have started this piece here. On this side as well. And if you want to go on this part, you can also do it, which I would do it. You can leave it like this and then tie the knot, or you can just go for the last. I'll go on this one here because I want this part to be tight on my body when we're wearing it. And then we can just do this very simple tying knot. Turn this top back. So by doing this crisscross side here, you can adjust how you want the top to be tightening to your body or a bit loose. So this is very easy to adjust. Now the top is actually complete, so we will move on to the sleeves part. So far the top looks like this. So the armhole here should be around 10 inches on the front side. The back side should be also 10 inches. The total is 20 inches. For size S, M, L, XL should be slightly bigger, probably around half an inch bigger of each size. And the length from the shoulder part to where we're starting to reduce the breast side here should be around 13 inches for size small. For other sizes, it should be around 1 inch bigger of each size. For the sleeves, I'm going to use the multicolor one, which is the Cotton King number 10. This one I'm going to use for the sleeves part, except the ribbing. The ribbing I will use the plain pistachio one. So to begin with, for size small, I will need to do first slip knot. After the slip knot, for size S, I will change up to 45. So that would be 45 stitches. And that would be 10 inches. M, you can go for 49 stitches. That would be 11 inches. For L, 55 stitches. That would be 12 inches. For XL, 59 stitches. So for size S, I will go for 45. So this 1, 2, 3. So that's my 45 stitches. It should work out around 10 inches when it's stretched. So this is swatch samples I have done. And this one here is the gauge is 4.5 double crochet stitches is 1 inch and 3.5 double crochet rows is 1 inch. So this is how the popcorn stitch works out. On row 1 we will need to follow the popcorn stitch. So the popcorn stitch, after the last stitch I will do 1 change and then do the single crochet on the second change. And the next stitch you need to do 5 double crochets in the same stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets, and then you leave the yarn or leave it for around 1 inch, but you can leave it more if you feel like it. Make sure it doesn't get loose. And you will get back to the first stitch where you have started, and then you need to pull this yarn through to make the first popcorn stitch, and then I will chain 1. And for the next stitch you go for single crochet. Here's my next stitch. I'll do do single crochet, and then the next stitch 5 double crochet in the same stitch. 2, 3, 4, 5. Then again leave the yarn, and then you will come back to the first double crochet, and then pull the yarn through like this to make the second popcorn, and then chain 1. Next stitch I will do single crochet next to it, and then the next stitch do 5 double crochet and repeat the popcorn stitch. So I will keep going like this until I get to the last stitch. And here's my last popcorn stitch, and the last stitch is a single crochet. So you should starting the rows with single crochet, and you should end up with a single crochet on the last stitch. And I have ended up with these 22 popcorn seeds here for size S. And the next row you could chain 1, turn the work, and then I will do the single crochet on the second stitch from the hook. You can also put the stitch markers on this part. After single crochet and the next stitch where the popcorn part here, you can go for single crochet as well. On this row it will be only single crochet. And the next one you should go to where the single crochet from the previous row. Next single crochet is where the popcorn seed is. The next one where the single crochet is. So the total of the single crochet you should end it up with 45 single crochet, the same as when you started. So I will keep repeating these. Here's behind a popcorn stitch, but do single crochet. The one we did single crochet from the previous row, it's going to be single crochet as well. Keep repeating this until you get to the last stitch, and you should end it up with the same amount of the stitches, the same as when you started. The last single crochet here to complete row 2 is quite twisted. Now I will do row 3, so you can chain 1, do the single crochet on the second stitch from the hook, and then do the 5 single crochet in the same stitch. So this is the popcorn stitch. 3, 4, 5. Leave the yarn like this, go back to the first double crochet, pull the yarn through, chain 1. The next stitch, single crochet, and then the 5 double crochet in the same stitch. Alright, after double crochets in the same stitch, leave the yarn, pull the yarn through. So make sure you start from the first double crochet, pull the yarn through, chain 1. The stitch next to it, single crochet, and then repeat the popcorn stitch until you get to the end of the row. And for row 4, just repeat row 2, which is going to be only single crochet all the way down to the last stitch, and then keep repeating between row 2, row 3, row 2, row 3 until you get, for size S I will go for 10 rows, for other sizes you can go more. It depends on the length of the sleeve. For me, I will do 10 rows of these, and then we will get back to reduce the sleeves. I'm done with 10 rows of the popcorn stitch. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of the popcorn stitch here, and the single crochets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would make 10 rows. Now I'm gonna reduce the sleeves part, so I might as well just put the stitch markers on this row so we know where we're reducing from which row. And on this row I will do, after you finish the last stitch of the row 10, we need to chain 1, turn the work. First single crochet on the second stitch from the hook, and then the second crochet on this one. So you have the next one, you will have 3 loops like this, and then you just pull it through to make 1 single crochet. On the next stitch I will do the popcorn stitch, which is the 5 double crochets in the same stitch. So I have 4, here's 5, chain 1, the next stitch just normal, so single crochet, and the next stitch is the popcorn stitch, and single crochet, popcorn stitch, single crochet, popcorn stitch, until you get to the last 3. The last 3 you should have 1 popcorn stitch, and the last 2 stitches should be 2 single crochet. As I have the last 2 stitches left, so I will go for 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet together on these last 2 to complete row 11. And for 12 you chain 1, turn the work, single crochet on the second chain from the hook, the next stitch on the popcorn stitch, single crochet on the single crochet stitch from the previous row, next stitch single crochet where the popcorn stitch is. So keep doing this. So for single crochet I won't do any reducing, so I will keep swapping between row 11, which we have just done, and the single crochet row, that would be row 12. Row 12 is only plain single crochet in every stitches. Row 11, it's reducing 2 single crochet together at the beginning of the row. So keep swapping between row 11 and row 12, as you can go for 35 rows as well as size M, and for size L you can go for 37 rows, size XL you can go for 39 rows. So I will continue doing this, swapping between row 11 and 12 until I get the total of 35 rows. Only this reducing part plus the 10 rows where we have only the straight crochet. The total of these sleeves should be 45 rows in total for size S and M. And here's my end of row 35 for size S. For size M you will also have to do 35 rows of these, and I have ended up with 4 of the popcorn stitches with the 9 stitches left. The measurement of 35 rows, you should have 10 inches. So now I will cut off the yarn here, so we'll leave the end for soon later. The stitch markers I will leave it for now because we want to first of all do the ribbing of these sleeves, so you will have to do exactly the same as the ribbing for the body part. So I will use this time the plain pistachio yarn. So turn the sleeves onto the right side, and then you will have to reconnect in the yarn on the first change. Always leave the yarn for sewing, and then you will have to chain up to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 chains, then plus 2. You have to do the half double crochet on the third chain from the stitch, and we are going to use only half double crochets, so exactly the same as the ribbing for the body part. And I'm done with the ribbings. So the ribbings here, it's exactly the same as the body part. The differences is only the colors, and I have decided to go for the plain one on the sleeves because I want to have the colors on the different places. So now we need to close this part. I will then turn to the side where you have the popcorn stitch, and then I will fold these, and we will now do the connecting. For this part here, I will just gonna go for single crochet, so exactly the same as the body part. So you will have the stitches here, back loop to back loop, and then single crochet, or you can actually do the slip stitch. This is entirely up to you, there is no right or wrong. So I will keep continuing with the single crochet back loops only on this part here. And here is the last stitch, chain one to close the row, and then cut off the yarn for sewing later. So the ribbing is got connected. Here's the inside, here's on the right side. Now we will need to connect also this part where I have the stitch markers on. It's up to my 10 rows. I will use another color. I will start from here, from where the ribbing is. And I will use, I actually have this end of the multicolor, so I will reconnecting from this end by using the techniques that I have done the video. So you can choose any techniques. Now we need to do, I'm just gonna go for like single crochet on the single crochet row. So it's quite difficult to see the stitches here, but I will go the first one, the single crochet on the single crochet rows, and the 2 single crochet on the double crochet rows. So if you can find it, if not, you can just work along with the length of this part here. So make sure you get this side and the other side together, and then do the single crochet. So the length of the ribbing here should be 10 inches, so exactly the same as when you started the chain. So I will continue with my single crochet until I get to where I have put the stitch markers on. Now I have connected this part here. You need to turn, so I will leave the yarn like this because we need to turn this piece to the right side. So here's the right side of the sleeve. You should have the shape like this. Now we need to bring the body part to connect, and for the body part I will need to turn these back to the wrong side because we need the right side to the right side when we're joining. So now I have my wrong side of the top, and I need to insert these inside of the top to make the right side to the right side. And make sure you have all the stitch markers. So I will connect the armpit here, the under armpit first, and the second one I will need to connect on the shoulder part. Here is where the sleeves end, the last row. So I will go to the middle part, to the shoulder part, and the rest you can just balance the length by using lots of stitch markers. Alright, I have put lots of stitch markers on this part. So you have the body part and you will have the sleeves. So make sure the right side, facing the right side. Here's my right side of the body part and the right side of the sleeves, with lots of stitch markers to balance the length here. The measurement of these armholes here should be around 20 inches when you measure this round. For size M, SM should be the same. For size L, it should be around 21 inches. For size XL, it should be around 22 inches. So now we need to connect these pieces together. I will use the multicolor yarn that I still have the ends. I will start from under the armpit here. Put the stitch markers away. And I will go for single crochet all the way around this part here. There is no specific stitches. I'm just gonna go along with the length. Get a little bit of the body part and a little bit of the sleeves part, and then do the single crochet. If you don't want the seams to be too big, try not to get too much of the yarn here. Try not to get too much of the fabric. And then do the single crochet all the way around. At the end you can cut off the yarn, sew all the ends in. Alright guys, the top is completed. One side show the top with one side sleeve. So I have connected the top here inside. I've done with the single crochet for the seam allowance all the way around, and you have the ribbing here exactly the same as that one. I have just changed the color, so I just want the top to be a bit of colors, not too plain. And the sleeve pattern here, we're using only the popcorn stitches, and on the sides you have the crisscross part here, which you can adjust the top to fit your body. The length of the sleeves here, you can actually adding some length, which depends on what you need. So this top is actually completed. You can wear both sides. You can put the arms on the left or on the right side. You can style it with any items, shorts, skirts, jeans, whichever item you prefer. And if you have any comments, guys, please leave it down on the comment section. And if you ever done any of the design, please feel free to tag me on my Instagram account, and I would love to see the works. I can share and repost them because I love to see your version. Also, this is the collaboration with Jane's Greens on her Instagram account. So we have decided to do something fun together. Please feel free to tag me or tag Jane's if you ever done any of our design. For this is actually my first collaboration with someone on the YouTube and also on the Instagram. It's been fun creating this top, and I love the popcorn stitches, which I wanted to use it for a long time ago. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. I still have many more designs to come. I will see you in the next video.